Welcome to Hard Work. Today, we're going to be taking on 10 Terminators. I hate batch painting. I always tell myself 5 and no more, never more. And then I always do 10 because 10's a nice number, except it's not. It's an awful number to paint in. Never paint in 10s. Paint in 5s. It's better for your health. I don't know why I do this to myself, but let's get into it. First off, we're going to start with a nice 50-50 mix of deck tan and black, and we're just going to base coat all of our models. If it's too thin, we'll just wait for it to dry and whack another coat on there. Grab your pure deck tan, and now we're just going to coat everywhere that's raised, leaving that grey in really all the deepest recesses, and just, highlighting everything else essentially. Now I'm going to grab some ivory and just do some spot highlights across the model. I'm aiming for the most visible areas, the parts that are going to get the most light. With a thin down mix of 50-50 ivory and deck tan, we're just going to blend back in those spot highlights. Because I've had to varnish the model, I'm going to put the decals on now. So we'll get some microsol, microset, and just decal up the model. So, quick tip, I like to use the back of a knife to move around the decal because it just works a bit better than a brush, I feel. As long as it's still wet, don't do it once it's dry. Once it's dry, you're just going to scratch your model. But while it's still wet, you can nudge that thing around. Once the decals are on, I'll give all the models a quick matte varnish before I move on to the next step. Oil wash time. So we're going to mix our oil paint with some thinner, and we're just going to do a nice little oil wash across the whole model. With that varnish, it should just flow right into all those cracks. We just tap the brush to it lightly, and it'll just go everywhere we want it to. Now we have some really messy oil wash models, but it's all right because the benefit of oil washes is you can clean them up. Bit of spirit reactivates them. So we're just going to grab a Q-tip with some of our thinner. And it should leave us with a nice and clean model. We're just going to clean it off all the areas and just leave it in those recesses, and it should come out looking pretty nice. With all the recesses out of the way, we're going to grab our ivory and just edge highlight the whole model. Let's grab some gory red and get the red details painted in. The Aquila, the purity seals, random red buttons. No one's going to care if it's all the same red. No one looks that closely. Looking good so far. Now we're just going to grab some Vallejo black and paint in all sort of the rubber bits in between the armor plates. Grab some Eshin grey and let's paint in our cruxes. We're going to grab our metallics, Lead Belcher, Retributed Gold, and Runelord Brass, and paint in all the metallics now. Right, I'm just going to grab some Sandwood Scarlet and highlight all the reds. I'm kind of always making this up as I go along. So I'm going to grab some Gigawatt Blue, and I'm just going to paint in these little doodads around the head blue, because why not? Frames the head nicely. And I'm going to be using Gigawatt Blue later anyway, so might as well. Onto the heads. We're going to grab some corn red, thin it down, and just airbrush a nice layer of corn red onto this head. I always like to start by painting in the eye lenses black, because I feel like it frames the eye lens a bit better. So we're just going to grab some Vallejo black and paint in that eye lens. Get some Caliban green down, followed by some warpstone, and then a tiny bit of moot green for those lenses. And to really make it pop, you could just dot a little bit of real yellow on the inside of the lens. And finish with the classic white dot lens reflection. Our lovely helmet lenses are complete. Now all we need is to paint the metallics as well as doing some edge highlights. So let's start with those highlights. What I'd love to show you is me edge highlighting the model with a fist on red, but I, for the life of me, cannot keep the model in the center of the camera. Oh well, I'll try better next time, I guess. Let's quickly get the bases down. So just going to base coat the whole thing with Ballow Brown, followed by a nice dry brush of Eshin Grey. And finish it off with a edge highlight on all the rocks of Grey Seer, just to pick them out. And then add in the tufts. You can never forget the tufts. They're the key part of the model, you know? We love a good tuft here. Throw some quick skeleton horde contrast on those purity seals, because we completely forgot about them. Right, it's time for the fun part. Now, I am just making this up as I go along. I don't really know what I'm doing, but let's throw down some colours and see what happens. So I'm going to start by grabbing some Frost Heart contrast and kind of blend in half the claw to kind of have a blue glow to it. So it's kind of a transition from blue glow to no glow. Thin down the Frost Heart and do a good few layers. It always looks better if you do it in smaller increments, you know? And then you can just always layer on top further down and get that deeper blue we're after. Right, now it's time for us to sketch on some lightning bolts. So I have no idea what color I used in the video here, because I actually went back and went over it completely. I didn't really like the end result, so I went back and used Gigawatt Blue instead of whatever I used here. And I just sketched on those lightning bolts on all the claws. Then what I did was I grabbed some white star and I mixed it 50-50 with the Gigawatt Blue, and then I filled in the inside of my lightning bolts. So I didn't do the whole thing. I just kind of did sort of wherever the bends were. So I went a little bit past each bend, and, you know, it came out quite nicely, actually, I think. Don't be discouraged if it looks bad, because I had to redo these like 5 times, and I practiced. I used one guy, I practiced all his claws. They all looked terrible. I painted over it, started again. I just kept doing it and doing it until eventually it looked not half bad. I was happy with it. You know, try again. And to finish it off, we're just going to put a little dot of white on all the corners, all the sharp bits of the lightning bolt. Right, now for the fun bit. Gonna grab some stainless steel wire. This stuff was way too thin. I used it because it's what I had. I don't recommend this. It's probably gonna break if I ever try and play with these models. But we're just gonna bend them, you know, add a little crisscross in there, a little zigzag, bend them into the shape we want, and then we're gonna measure it up against the model and see how it fits and just trim it to size. Right, I'm gonna size up the bolt to the model, and then I'm just gonna add a drop of super glue where I'm gonna stick it down. And I don't mind the drop if it's a little bit fat, because it'll help with the sort of lightning effect I'll have added later. I'm just going to make sure it's secure to the base with another drop of super glue. We're going to just paint that in with our gigawatt blue. No need for primer. It should be fine. And now we're going to grab some white ink. White ink, you may ask why white ink? It's because I've got it out for the next step. And I might as well use it now. I'm going to use the next step. And we're just going to paint in, just like before, sort of the corner bits of the lightning. Does it even look good? I don't know. You tell me. I think it looks all right. Sometimes I look at it and I think, why did I do that? Other times I think, yeah, you know what? That kind of looks like lightning. Right, we're going for some object source lighting. So wherever I kind of want the lightning to pop, I'm just going to spray some white ink there. Wherever I want it to be brighter, like it's really being shined on. And we're going to grab our frost out, thin it down a little bit so it doesn't clog our airbrush. And then we're just going to spray it on and making sure to get those bits that we sprayed white, and then just a bit of the surrounding area. And then it should look like it's kind of glowing in those areas. And, you know, with that sort of transition from the slightly brighter white ink areas to the non-white ink areas. I know the whole model's white, but it does make a difference. And we're just going to grab our white ink and bring back some of that white bits that we've covered over with frost art, just to add that bit of, you know, definition back. And now for a quick black rim. Black is the only correct color. You do any color that isn't black and you're wrong. You know, your model's unfinished, clearly. So quick black rim and we're complete. Right, here we go. Models completed. So I didn't do the lightning on all the models because I thought it would pop a little bit more if only a couple of them had it. However, I did spray a bit of frost art on all of the lightning claws just to kind of give them all a tiny bit of glow. Yeah, drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Drop a like if you think they look good. This has been a lot of hard work. Thank you for watching.